Good evening, good evening, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. As you log onto the line this evening, let me officially welcome you. Let me welcome you to Be Your Own Bank, BYOB Market Talks. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is Tasha M. Dyer, the Trade Whisperer, creator of the BYOB Cash Out Strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, and I just want to say good evening, good evening, good evening. Now, let's go ahead and get our mindsets together. Let's get those mindsets right. Yes, let's get that mindset right. Where are you calling from and what are we affirming? Now, today, oh my goodness, today was a profitable day. Today was a day of profit, right? Patience, patience, profit. And this is why it's so important for us to operate in the right mindset. The chat should have been flooded with nothing but 777, 777 in the chat. And so we're going to dive into that a little bit deeper here tonight, just to really help make sure you are taking advantage of those trade opportunities, of all of the trades that we actually go through and we talk about on the morning's call. But where do we start no matter where we start? Where do we start no matter what call we're on? Where do we start? We start with our mindset, right? I am an educated BYOB master trader anointed for wealth. I am a BYOB master trader anointed for wealth. That is what we need to affirm. Now, of course, you guys can tell that I am actually mixing up a few of our affirmations, but I just combine them. But the reality is you want to make sure you say them. You want to make sure you're affirming it. I am an educated BYOB master trader anointed for wealth. I am the signal. All my trades in profit, I am 777. Mindset, mindset, mindset. So who do we have? I see Lauderhill. Good evening, Minnesota. Good evening, Chicago. Good evening, London. Good evening, Jacksonville. Good evening, Merrimer. Good evening. Good evening, California. Good evening, Columbus. Good evening, Cleveland. Good evening, Chicago, Miami, North Carolina. Good evening, Bahamas. Good evening, Chattanooga, Orlando, Claremont, Cleveland, Memphis, Buffalo, worldwide, New York, all over, right? BYOB worldwide. And so, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, I just want to set the stage. Tonight, we are talking about you literally becoming your own bank. And we want to make sure that you understand the significance and the importance behind that. We want to make sure that you guys understand the significance and importance behind why this information is so important and why we take such pleasure in rewarding you all with our Be Your Own Bank, right? We have our member benefits program. And so why we reward you all and why we love doing that, because of the simple fact that this skill set is so important. This skill set is just so instrumental in exposing others around the world, exposing others and just educating. See, an educated trader is a profitable trader. That is so important. And I just want to make sure that you guys really understand the power and the magnitude of that. So what we want to do tonight is think about it. Everything we do is with you all in mind. But what we want to do tonight for you all is make sure that the stage is set. And when we say the month of June, we level up. When we say the month of June, we next dimension it. When we say the month of June, right, we are closing out May, our month of power, but it is now time. It is now time to step it up. And so when we step it up, that means we step it up in every perspective. So what I want to do tonight is I want to turn this call over to our visionary, right? I want to bring to the stage, bring to the platform our visionary of this movement. And just think about it for just a moment. We have a movement because he had a vision and he operated in faith. We have a movement because he stepped out. We have a movement because God planted something on the inside of him to ensure that families were economically empowered worldwide. You're talking about a background in investment banking, a skill set where God has just gifted him. And so, literally, and under his coaching, mentorship, over 30,000 people have obtained their financial freedom. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is our visionary, and I really want to give you an opportunity to hear from him. Mr. Rogers, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can, and this call is yours.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dyer. Once again, I salute you for your continued efforts of just ensuring that our family members have the opportunity to acquire the skill set. We bless you for God using you to create the BYOB Cast Out strategy. And I also want to extend a level of gratitude to our additional BYOB educators, the Queen of Indices, Ms. Thompson, the Pip Master herself, Ms. Anderson, and the Trading Diva, the HFX Sniper. And definitely want to salute the finance doctor himself. And folks, I've just been blessed to know to have some individuals that God has allowed me to be connected with and simply, pursue a passion and a dream and a vision. And I solicit you tonight to really understand that you're equally important to the foundation, to the mission and the purpose. So yes, we've decreed and declared that the year of 2021 is the year of transformation. We've decreed it and declared that the month of May is the month of power. And as we extend into the month of June, we're simply talking about going to the next dimension. But I want you tonight to really think about what were you doing on January 11th, 2018. Ask yourself that question, because that was the date that we had our official first launching of the BYOB movement. And many of you were not included in that process. Why am I sharing this with you? Is because someone right now, because of the work that you're doing right now, the skill sets that you're obtaining right now, their life is going to be completely and totally different. Having the opportunity to have a platform which we all share together, then guess what? Those 2 million families that we're going to attract, it's going to come because you said yes to yourself. You didn't say yes to the movement, you said yes to yourself. And we're simply here as an extension to create the outcomes that you deserve. And it all starts with state of mind and understanding. So why are we so passionate about this information? Because there's just been so much information hidden in plain sight. So I just want to help all of us know that in the midst of where we are right now, where we're headed, that in order for you to get to where you desire to get to, you have to know where you're coming from. So what I want to do is kind of introduce something to many of you tonight so that you can understand why you have to manifest, why you have to expose your family members, your neighbors, your relatives to this information. Because I want to share some information with you so you can understand how big the economy is, how large money is. And you can't add it, it's inexhaustive, right? So wherever you are, whatever piece of the pie that you desire to obtain, it's in your wheelhouse, it's in your understanding to be able to accomplish that. But just to bring some perspective to where you and I and why you have to manifest. And as you've heard Dr. Bythwood say often, that the model that you and I have been introduced to and taught for all of these years is simply antiquated. I'm going to help you really understand how antiquated it is tonight as we just transition. And Ms. Dyer, if you could pull up the website, and if you could drop that in the chat, because many of you may have not even known that this website exists. But this website is what we call the U.S. debt clock, right? The U.S. debt clock. And if you could just highlight something right now, as I'm speaking, babies are being born, and this is specifically to the United States. This is specifically to the United States. But if you look at this, as I'm speaking again, another child was born. As I'm speaking again, another child was born. But if you look at that, and Ms. Dyer, if you could just put your cursor on what the debt is per citizen. Yes, per citizen. What is that debt? That debt says $85,000. So the unborn child comes out of the womb, and his responsibility to the overall deficit, which we have in this country, is $85,000, right? Out of the womb. So it's very important. It's very paramount that you and I understand why you have to understand the skill set. You must stay the course. You have to be committed to the process and the outcome, and why you are a part of the largest economic empowerment movement in the history of mankind, because you and I have to take full responsibility for what we now know and understand it. So this is much bigger than your individual household. This is us collectively, because each one teach one, each one reach one. And this is why I'm saying for the month of June, it's all out aggressive action. We have to make sure that we are expanding, we're exploring, we're bringing people to this information. And it's not our responsibility to get them to do anything, but it is our responsibility to expose them to this information. And if you've never seen this debt clock ever in your life, and you've probably heard them talk about the deficit and what it means and what it entails, but if you've never seen this information in your entire existence, I need you to drop an 888 in the chat. I need you to drop an 888 in the chat. If you've never seen what these numbers look like when we're talking about the economy here in the United States, yes, this information has been hidden in plain sight. So where are you at on that scale, right? Yes, your personal debt right now is $85,000 in order to balance the budget. But it's a travesty for you and I to know that as I'm speaking again, there's another unborn child just came out of the womb. And guess what? So we have to change the narrative. You and I have to be even more aggressive about staying the course, making sure that we do not miss a call, plug in, because there's liberation and freedom because your eyes are now being opened. Your heart is ready to receive. But if you've never been serious about your personal finance and the finance of your community, your place of fellowship, this is why we do what we do. This is why this is the largest economic empowerment movement in the history of mankind. And this is why we are committed to your success, because we now have to galvanize ourselves as a collective army, and each one has to do their part, because we're ineffective if each and every one of us are not doing our part. So with that being said, I just wanted to share this with you tonight. This is why keeps me up. This is why our mastermind team and our additional educators are so committed to your personal success, because guess what? You now have a responsibility to pay it forward. Back to you, Ms. Dyer.
I mean, wow, ladies and gentlemen, wow, 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 wow. And of course, you know, we'll hear him say that later on tonight. But the reality is this is wow, wow, wow. You know, and this is why this information is so important. This is why we must ensure, right, that the families globally around the world are educated, are impacted. We have to ensure that we are literally exposing individuals to this information, because we want to make sure that everyone is economically unbothered. And that is why we do over 40 calls a month. That's why we take our time for you to have clarity and understanding that it's all about chasing the skill set and not chasing the dollar. Because we can do that, you know, we can do that. We can get on these calls and have you scalp in, scalp out. We can get on these calls and really put you in a position where you feel like we praise and we feel like you're in profit, you know, because you made a few dollars today. But you see, that's not what's going to generate the wealth. This is what our government, I mean, you just heard from the visionary himself. This is what our government feels. This is what our government does with money. This is what we owe before we even know how to count money. And so we come into this world in debt. So if we come into this world in debt and we operate in debt and we're taught debt, at what point does wealth develop? This is why this movement is so important in what we do. This is why we take the time to ensure, because once your financial blinders are removed, they are removed. And we want to make sure that they remove and they stay removed so we can shift this. We're going to shift this. It's already begun shifting. You see, that's the power and the magnitude. And just think about it as I pull my charts up. Just think about it. You know, we do children do what you do and not what you say. I'm going to say that again. They do what you do and not what you say, because you are going to leave a legacy. And what we're leaving is not going to be more debt. What we're leaving behind is not going to be more debt. And I want you all to understand that, because when you take control I was in a car today with my 3-year-old granddaughter. And just out of the blue, she started yelling, "Be your own bank." I told you how my daughter was able to pick up on a cartoon because of the evolution of currency that's taking place. And so for her to be able to pick up on that, right? For her to be able to see that. And now my granddaughter, just out of the blue, we just sitting in a car, I'm looking at something on my phone, and she just starts yelling, "Be your own bank, be your own bank, be your own bank." And she's asking me, "Yaya, let's see the money." Because she knows when I open that MetaTrader 4, that's the money. And she's like, "Yaya, let's see the money. Let's see the money. Let's see the money." And so she wanted to see the money at 3 years old. So now, see, some people have seen my trade account. That 3-year-old, she saw it today. But that's what we're talking about, is that shift, that legacy, right? That's what we're talking about, that mindset, that transformation. And this is that year of transformation. So I just need to know, before we dive in here today, can I get a 777 in the chat? Please tell me we took profit thus far. Please tell me we took profit so far. Tell me we took profit, we took profit, we took profit. We are 124 pips in profit. Tell me we took profit. Look at the 777s. And so let's make you understand tonight. Let's help you understand why the chat is flooded right now. Why so many of you all were able to take profit. Why so many of you all were able to dive in, because we've been doing this top-down analysis. We've been going through a top-down analysis approach. We've been taking the time to walk you all through this. So let's do two things. Let's talk about the BYOB cash out strategy first and foremost. I want one where I don't have my markups, because I want you to understand, when you come to the chart, you're looking at a naked chart. We're looking at a naked chart. That's what we see. So now, for my new individuals, for my, whether I want a cleaner one than that for this, for my new individuals, for my individuals that just joined us, for my individuals that are still learning, for my individuals, right? Let's just talk to everybody right now. For my individuals that have a little bit of understanding, the reality is we all need to understand that the 15-minute chart is our foundation. Our 15-minute chart is our foundation. If you notice across the top, each one of these has a different time, and that time frame is how long it takes to get the next candle. 15-minute, 10 pips, cash out is where we start. You see, you're going to evolve and you're going to grow. You're going to grow and you're going to evolve. You're going to evolve and you're going to grow. And I'm pointing this out for a reason. We're going to grow, we're going to evolve. And I want you to understand that patience, profit is so very important. And I want you guys to also understand that this skill set has to be developed. So 15-minute chart is where it starts. But what you're going to see, right? Mr. Rogers just made mention of our other educators that are on the platform and what they specialize in. What you're going to see is just some minor adjustments, and it's really the same. It's no adjustments. So you'll see Miss Anderson come in on Tuesdays and she'll train you from the 15-minute, because once again, that's a BYOB basics. That is a foundation, and that's where I show you from as well. And then you'll see Miss Brantley and you'll see Miss Thompson on the 3 and 5 minute. Well, the reality is it's no different. They're just trading on different time frames. You often always see me on the hour as well. It's really no different. I'm just trading on a different time frame. But you don't need to do anything else until you understand this foundation and begin building your skill set. What we're doing is giving you that wealth. I feel like I want to be that teacher that told you when you took those shortcuts before you understood what you were doing. Do you remember those days? Now, this is before the iReadies. This is before all of those things, right? Before any of that, what happened is we would turn our work in to the teacher and she would hand it back to us and say, "You took some shortcuts, do it." And you're like, "But I get it. No, you took some shortcuts. I want to make sure you understand." Well, I'm giving it back to you. No shortcuts, okay? No shortcuts. Understand the strategy first. Understand the strategy first. Then you begin to understand your support and resistance. You notice on these calls, it's a heavy emphasis on support and resistance lines. They are your lifeline. It's where the market pauses. It's going to help you see things. Then you can start doing other things. And once you've mastered that, I don't care what you trade on. You could trade HFX, you could trade indices, you could trade crypto, you could trade exotics. It does not matter what you want to trade. The strategy works on everything, but your skill set must be no shortcuts allowed, has to happen. All right, has to happen. So where do we begin? We begin right here. Blue line, stochastic, Hikinashi candles, PSAR are my dots. Blue line cross over the red in an upward momentum, right? Blue line cross over the red in an upward momentum. Blue line cross over the red in a downward momentum. Upward momentum, downward momentum, all right? Now, this is my stochastic. It's also my leading indicator. And then what I'm looking for is my Hikinashi candles. They come in two colors, red and green. Green means buy, red means sell. Can I say it again? Green means buy, red means sell. It's just that simple. And so now what you're seeing is you're seeing that green candle with a flat bottom and that PSAR flip to the bottom. So I'm gonna widen this up just a little bit because, you know, I'm widening it up because you cannot see if I don't, right? So you see me widen it up. So because I want to make sure that you all can definitely see it. And then of course we have that PSAR flip to the bottom. So I'm gonna drop this right here. Now, I want to point something else out right now because this is an advanced call, right? We're talking about a few advanced things. Is that when I'm looking at this right here, I cannot see what the market's doing, right? You can't, right? You cannot see when you're zoomed in. So if I come to this, remember, this is how we pull up the charts. It's nothing but space and opportunity, and you have to be able to make a decision. I got space and opportunity and decision-making process that needs to happen. So I cannot see what the market's doing zoomed in like this, okay? But I need to zoom in to see the activity. I must zoom out in order to see the market and where it's going. So I have to zoom out to see the support and resistance. I have to zoom out to see where the market is. I have to zoom out to, you see how squished up it looks? I have to zoom out to get an idea of what's happening in the market. But then when I get ready to see that activity, I have to zoom in, all right? So when you zoom out, watch the clarity between now and next week that happens. Just watch the clarity that takes place, all right? Zoom out, zoom in. Just that little adjustment and that little tweak will make a world of difference in your life, in your lifetime, and in your profit margin, all right? So right here, blue line cross over the red in an upward momentum. I have a green candle with a flat bottom and that PSAR flip to the bottom. That's that dot. Now let me go ahead and address this right now. Stop loss goes below the PSAR, not on the PSAR, below the PSAR. You are trading off. This is where you're trading from. Right here, I'm trading from right here. I'm on the 15-minute chart and I'm trading from right here. What that means is that this is what must be in alignment, not my hour and not my five. I'm not looking for all of that on the other time frames. The time frame I trade on is the time frame I'm looking for the alignment to happen. Let me go up to my hour. When I come up to my hour, oh no, we're not taking that buy because look, let me show you. Now, here we have it. I have my blue line cross over the red. It's still in a downward momentum. I'm not in the upper momentum. I also have a red candle. Now, that's not enough pullback in that candle. Why am I going through this with you? One, because time frame confluence must have. Time frame confluence must have. Time frame confluence must have. Okay, hear me clearly. It must be on an hour. GBP is the most liquid currency, right? So that allows us to be able to drop down to the 30, but I can drop down if and only if, okay? If and only if there's something guiding me toward that. Now, what I want to point out is that this right here is you looking at this stochastic pulling up, but I'm gonna often tell you is that when we look at past, kind of think about it like it's some yarn or some rope, because I can promise you it didn't look like this. If you look at some rope and you kind of just kind of drag it and lay it out, the more you pull it in a certain direction, the more you pull it a certain way, then that is going to start getting some curves in it as it extends. Well, what you'll notice is that I'm quite sure that was still pointed down. And if this is some yarn, then as that began to pull up, then of course I got a little curve. If you guys can kind of envision what I'm saying, I don't sew, not domestically inclined like that, but I've seen that happen, like some rope, some yarn, just anything. So just imagine, I want you to understand that. So I don't want you looking at that and saying, well, it looked like the stochastic is kind of curving up. Well, that's too much red for me, and that's still pointing in that downward momentum. And of course, you will start seeing a curve because of that next one. So let's just go ahead and drop on over here to the hour. And when we drop down to the 15, now my candle's in a correction. Let me help you with that. Now we still have to wait. Patience, patience, profit, guys, because it's in a sale right here. It's in a sale right here. I need a green candle with a flat bottom. So this one obviously wasn't the one. We're developing a relationship with the market. So think about it like that guy, right? He's just not the one. It's not him, sis. It's not him. So I need to come on over here and I need to wait. And I have to come on over here. And we've been talking about relationship with the market for weeks. So that's how I want you to see this thing. And so now you just have to wait on the next green candle with a flat bottom. We're not going to accept less because this wasn't the guy, right? We're not going to accept less because this wasn't the one. Why would I accept this? No, I have confluence now. So this is the one I'm looking for right here. And then I'll go for my 10 pips and cash out, and then or to that first support and resistance line, right? So I want you guys to understand that. Drop down to the 5 minute. When you drop down to the 5 minute, then of course this needs to still be buying. You see there's no emphasis on a wick or anything else because this trade is already in play. So like if you're trading on that lower time frame, then of course you would be able to see where it kind of aligned if you're using that for a tighter entry, but we'll get to that. So questions, comments, testimonies before we move forward. Questions, comments, testimonies. That is the BYOB cash out strategy. Okay. Now, let's go ahead. Just drop them in the chat as you do. You guys know that while we're on this line together, that you guys can always drop it in the chat. You can always just kind of drop it in the chat and we'll make sure your questions get answered. So let's come back over here to my coloring book, right? Let's come on back over here to my marked up chart. So before we do that, I want us to come back over here to our harmonic scanner. So we talked about that, all right? So we saw the other day on the crypto scanner, right? We saw the other day on the crypto scanner where we actually had an opportunity to, where you could see on the hour, you could see where it was calling one way, but on the 15 minute, it was going another way. You notice that my trades are always pulled from the hour. So understand that you can have market patterns in here. You can have those reversal patterns, but if they're going against the higher time frame, which is what gives my market direction, right, then that's obviously not where I want to be, right? It's just not what, I want to see and where I want to be. So now these brokers, okay, we're talking about the harmonic scanner. You notice that for the last couple of days, we've had this pulled up on the calls. So because I want to help you guys and make sure you can walk through and understand how to do it. This goes in conjunction with the harmonic scanner is not a standalone tool. So we don't need to be over here trying to trade it. If you know anybody that's doing that, I've seen them and I've said something to them, but if you know anybody that's doing it, please don't follow them. If you have a mindset of shortcuts, then everything you do, you're going to shortcut. So because this is not where you could come in and mark it up. And we've also seen where they're no longer on there. Just like on here, this one just popped back up because it wasn't on here. So now we have another one because I saw this coming, but now we have another one that popped up because I was going to say like GBP USD is no longer on there. Well, it doesn't need to be on there anymore. So you notice that what will happen with these is the ones that's down here are the ones that's pretty much already played out. And they just haven't fallen off yet. All right. So if they're down here, they've played out. They just have not fallen off. And then of course, the ones that's closer up here to the top are the ones at the top are the newer ones. We're waiting on those to manifest. And then of course, the ones that's kind of closer to the middle, you see those are actually the ones playing out. This one's already played out. So actually it didn't. And so this one will actually fall off of here because of what it did. It kind of shot up. So it will kind of fall off of there. So, all right. So now let's talk about this. Okay. Let's talk about what we saw. Where did it go? Where did my trade go? Here we go, right here. So this is one of the ones we analyzed this morning. So you say, I noticed on the 15 minutes, the stochastic was not in an upward momentum. Is it because of five? No, the stochastic is specific to the time frame that it's on. So the stochastic is specific to the time frame that it's on. So when we were here on this 15-minute, my stochastic was in an upward momentum. The market is not going to stay overbought. So the market pulled back. If you're talking about this one, you notice that it kind of started, it's going to correct and it will not stay overbought. So you notice that as it had that move up, right? It came through here, but we've trained on this and you're going to have to go back and watch some of those other trainings. But you notice how this moved all the way up and now on my higher time frame. And now, you know, we're at that overbought territory on my higher time frame. So the stochastic is very specific to the time frame it's on because it's calculated off of the candles, right? It's calculated off of the movement. It's calculated off of the past activity on that time frame. And so, you know, like even if I come back, that's a good question. I just kind of want to point something out real quick to you all and I'll go back over there. Even if I come back, let me pull up Dogecoin because we all know that this one is kind of new. And, you know, when you look at when I talk about calculated, see how that thing shot up. So I'm just trying to make a point, not even really talking about the candles. I want you to look at, now there's two different ones from two different broker feeds. One broker, a lot of brokers literally just put it on there. So depending on which one you do, you might not have anything on this coin until 2021, 2020, right? So there might not be anything on the charts, but depending on the broker that you pull, that it can actually go from the conception of this coin. And so if you look right here, if I draw my line, and I'm gonna go back to the scanner, this was just a good question and something that needs to be addressed. So if I look right here, you notice I had no stochastic. I had absolutely no stochastic back here, but I did have candles. I absolutely did have candles, right? And so if you look at my candles, when I zoom in, you can see that obviously a support line was created right here, but I had no stochastic. I did not get a stochastic for a few years, right? So for not a few, but you know, like this is, you know, kind of think about it, like we're in 13 and I didn't get a stochastic till 15. So you notice that the stochastic is really a leading indicator and is created based on the previous history of what the market does. So I'm not going to take you back to the 90s on the other one. So this was just a perfect example of understanding why the stochastic is so important and why it's our leading indicator, right? How it's calculated is based on what has already transpired in the market. And obviously, if I switch time frames, then it's going to look a little different on each time frame. And so on my lower time frames, I'm going to have a stochastic before. See, that was the monthly. Now I'm on a weekly. You notice I actually have a stochastic. I had no stochastic here, but now I have a stochastic, right? If I come here to my 15 or my hour, let me say I'm not going lower than this because you see how long it's going to take us to get over there. So you'll notice that stochastic, look how bunched up it is right now. I'm trying to get there quickly, but you'll notice that if we can get there, that's stochastic, right? So it cuts us off. It's not going to let us go because that's just too much to go back on this time frame. So I thought we could do it on an hour, but we can't. So the reality is what you're seeing is that depending on your time frame, the lower you go, right? Now look, my stochastic began creating on my daily, and this is as low as it's gonna let us go from way back there. But up through here, I had absolutely nothing on a monthly. About halfway is when I got it on a weekly. And now look, I have it on a daily, but it still took a while before it created on a daily. So the stochastic is very specific to the time frame that you're on. And I hope that brought just a little bit of clarity, right? To really kind of help you guys understand, because I don't want you looking on one time frame, looking at the stochastic, then another time frame, right? They're very specific to the time frame that they are on, okay? So let's jump on back over here to my harmonic scanner. So hopefully that brought, you know, just a tad bit of clarity to you all. All right. So now here I am, we've made it to take profit one. Now, what we've been talking about is that top-down approach. So here I am on the tool. I have the harmonic scanner. We wrote these numbers down earlier, and just let me move this over here closer to where I need to be. And so right here. Now we marked this up earlier. And this morning, what we were talking about, and I love it when they play out and you get to see them play out. And you can kind of see right here, we talked about this zone, right? We talked about the momentum that was there, and we talked about this zone. And we talked about the reality is that we were definitely in an oversold territory, right? Here I am on an hour, here I am on the 4 hour now, here I am on a 1 hour, and this is that zone that we marked up. So you notice how we've evolved from 10 pips and cash out to where we're starting to see what the market is actually doing, right? We're looking at what the market's actually doing. Now, here we are. If you took this trade, you're up 124 pips. So if you're directly enrolled with Be Your Own Bank, now you are already 124 pips towards your 600 or your 1,000 pip mark, right? So you can do this on things other than your indices, cha-ching, right? So you're already up there. And now as I look at this, right? So I know we had $100 days today, guys. I know I saw about a $200 day as well. But I know for a fact we had $100 days. I know we did, right? I know you did. So as we look at this, okay, and you're seeing right here that blue line cross over the red. Okay, let's look at this from the hour because this was triggered on the hour. So what we're gonna do is from a top-down approach, we're gonna analyze this because I want you to be able to enter these trades. In that, like we do the setup, you have to enter it. We had quite a bit of 777s, but there were some of you all that did not push the button. So blue line cross over the red, green candle, flat bottom, PSR flip, okay? So let me go ahead and mark this, okay? Let's mark it. Now, when I go to my 4 hour, okay, I need confluence as well. You notice my stochastic, we're starting to get that turn. We're consistently rejecting here. That is a good sign. Okay, I have to say this because of that comment. And you're not the only one. That's why I have to pause for a moment. You're guilty. You got to get your confidence up. Demo. And the demo should release you. Thank you for the comment because the demo should release you. We will look at a demo account like we're trading our money. The demo account is our broker's money. The demo account is, your account at a 0.01, your live account at a 0.01 is not a demo account. All right. Because if anybody wants to skip a demo account, I'm going to just drop my Cash App so you guys could just cash at me if you want to make a donation. I just really believe that we should be opening those demo accounts and getting very, very comfortable with the market. Now, did we all learn how to swim? I'm going to say not all of us. I just had to take a class for swimming for non-swimmers when I was in college, when I went one of the first times when I went, but I had to take that class. And so, it's you don't learn if you don't get in the water. How many of you all have a driver's license? This is important. That's why I pause. So I know some of you all are like, you stopped us from talking about this trade. I'm gonna go back to it. But how many of you all have a driver's license? Let me get I know, because everybody's gonna say, drop it in the chat. You do. Now, if you look at that car, okay, let's put this in perspective. If you look at that car, that's tons of metal, right? It's tons of metal. It is the most dangerous piece of heavy machinery that you could ever operate. And see, most of the time you get a medication and it says, do not operate heavy machinery. We think about like equipment like forklifts and things like that. Nobody's thinking about their car. The car is the most dangerous thing that you can operate. And yet we do it every day. But we had to learn how to do it. See, we were anxious to want to learn that skill set. We were anxious to want to jump behind that wheel. And everybody that got in the wheel with you, I can guarantee you, you was on a dirt road, a parking lot, somewhere, where you couldn't tear up your mama's car, your daddy's car, your friend's car, whoever's car you was in. You were somewhere and everybody who was in the car with you had whiplash. How many of you all have children and you dredge trying to teach them how to drive because you know the process that you're going to have to go through? But when you understand that process and you look at you now, how many of you all drive and text? Don't answer, don't answer, don't answer. It might be a police officer on the call. But you know, think about it. You driving text right now. So yet, could you do that when you started? Could you do that then? But would you be able to text and drive if you never got behind the wheel? You do it on the interstate with 6 lanes of traffic. That's why Georgia had to pass that law where you can't even think about your phone. So, you know, regardless of whose car it was in, it's still a heavy piece of machinery. It's a heavy, most people do learn how to drive in somebody else's car. But the reality is it's a heavy piece of equipment. But yet for some reason, when we look at these charts, and there's literally no implication and there's literally no repercussions of you learning in your demo account, you're supposed to mess it up. You're supposed to hit a stoplight. You're supposed to do those things. Just like when you start learning how to drive, you're supposed to give somebody whiplash. It's going to happen, right? So, but you're supposed to do those things. Take your whiplash and learn the skill set. Let's stop compartmentalizing everything and understand it's the same process that we've already gone through. It's the exact same process that we've gone through. All right. Everybody can learn this. So I do not believe that this is not for everybody. This is for everybody. If everybody has the ability to get a driver's license, right, then guess what? Everybody has the ability to learn how to trade. Because all you have to do is stop being in your own way where we compartmentalize it and are afraid to move forward. We don't have a covenant with fear. We have a covenant with faith. So we have to walk that thing out on purpose. So let's learn the skill set. So all our grandbabies are screaming, you know, give me the money, show me the money, show me the money, show me the money, right? Let's just do it. So let's get back to our trade. So, but thank you for that. You are very welcome. See, I knew we had to pause for a reason. So now, so we were here, we were looking at this, we had our strategy line up. I'm gonna just go back just a little bit to make sure that everyone, right, that each and every last one of you all are with me. Blue line cross over the red, green candle, flat bottom, PSR flip. Jump up here to the 4 hour. With the 4 hour, you can see that my stochastic has began moving. Well, I'm glad. See, I told you some of you guys did. So, but I'm glad you guys are coming. So now you can see this green candle, right? And you can see how it's beginning to move. Now let me drop down. Let's drop down to the 15. Now I analyze on my higher time frames. We analyze up there, but the reality, we analyze up there, but I'm not taking a trade up there. I'm not entering the trade up there, okay? We don't enter on the hour. We don't enter on the 4 hour. You drop down and you enter. So knowing that, because you guys could already have started trading from here to here, right? We definitely could have on that 15-minute, but let's say you weren't operating that scalper mindset, okay? So now what you're doing, now that we know we're aligned here, let's drop down to this 15-minute and let's wait for this alignment. So now, one of the questions is always about, but the stochastic is not at the 20. It's not at the 20. Can I take that trade? Well, here we have it. What do you know? Is that it's a continuation trade, right? This would be part of like a continuation. My stochastic is definitely not at the 20. As a matter of fact, we're at the 80. So that means that it's pushing through. So had you caught this from the 15-minute chart, then you would have been able to take this from back over here. And you would have did your 10 pips and cash out or to your first support and resistance line. This is where my 111s live. And I don't think I asked that at the beginning of this call. For those of you all who are new to the call this evening, let me get a 111. This is where my 222s live, or fresh 222s, right? This is where they live, right? So my 111s, new to be your own bank, new to the call, first time on the call, this is where you live. This is where my 222s live, right? So welcome. So this is where you live. 15-minute chart, blue line cross over the red and an upward momentum, green candle, flat bottom, PSR flip to the top, do my time frame, confluence, and there you have it. And then of course, when you come up here, Now you're looking at some continuation. Now I'm concerned about my stochastic and where I am, because now I'm trading on a higher time frame, but I'm not entering on a higher time frame. I'm trading on a higher time frame, but I'm not entering on a higher time frame. This is where I drop down for that tighter entry. And what had to happen is, if I'm looking at this, what ultimately had to happen is it pushed through, it retested, and now I'm looking for that entry point, right? I'm looking for that entry point, and we got it. So this is how you enter. And that's the exact same thing that's happening right here. So if you're trying to go like to that take profit 2 or that take profit 3, I need to know what's happening on my higher time frame. I still have space and opportunity right here on this stochastic. But can you just jump in a trade right now? Absolutely not. You cannot. No, please, no. Let's do this the right way. You have to wait. When we say wait so you can enter the market, we drop down, right? We see it's still here on a harmonic scanner. It's still there. It's still showing up. It hasn't fallen off the scanner yet. So we have a valid trade. What'll also happen is you'll start getting some triggers over here on the vibrata, and that'll help you scan in and hone in and tighten up that entry point, right? It will definitely help you do that. So now what we're doing is we're waiting for this to manifest, like up in here. So now you know that I can take my trade a little bit higher. So even right here, as this one is pulling up, you can see where this, began to push back up. I got my green candle with a flat bottom. I have my PSR flip right here. So now what you're looking at is that continuation trade, right? So now I know, and I'm gonna say it every time in the mornings. I know it's not at the 20. I know it's not at the 80. Because what we're looking at is a continuation trade. Now, if you're still learning how all this happens on a higher time frame, then you don't take that trade, and it's okay. Miss Anderson just had the compounding sheet out on Tuesday. She pulled up the compounding sheet. Do you know what 10 pips and cash out can do for your life? Do you know what 10 pips and cash out can do for your wallet? So don't fret over being in this zone right here. Don't fret about the fact and the reality that you didn't do this, right? Let's not feel like we missed out. Develop your skill set, because what happened, this is why you hear so many professional traders and so many people say, oh, you're going to blow a trade, you're going to do this, you're going to blow an account. No, you don't have to. You don't. I'm not a believer in that. I'm a believer in where your focus goes, your energy flows, right? So if you focus on blowing, then that's what's going to happen. If you focus on winning, you focus on skill set development, then guess what? And proper risk management, then you're going to rise to the occasion, and you'll rise on top. So if you look here, right, then you want to do it from an educated standpoint. What typically happens is we want to rush this. So even if you're here, let's say you perfected this and you have nothing but blue. For my 111s, I see a few of you all, blue simply means, right? So the blue, what blue means is that you are profiting, you're building your account, and you have to be okay with this. So even if you're here, this is your live account, you're trying to enhance and take this to the next dimension, this is your demo. All right. So if you've never done this before, trying to get to the next take profit, this is in your demo account. Questions, comments, testimonies. Questions, comments, testimonies. I want to make sure you guys are with me tonight. Questions, comments, testimonies. Questions, comments, testimonies. Top-down analysis approach, the relationship with the market. Top-down analysis and a relationship with the market. All right. So let's look at this. So now what we just saw is GBP USD. Aha. So I see it. Want to make sure it is complete and clear to you all. So now as I look right here, let's write. So now let's write these numbers down. Take your screenshot, take a picture, right? You want to make sure, actually you should draw your own lines. That's phase 1, right? Phase 1 is you guys understanding how to, right, do your own. And so for 908. So we saw that one turn around. We saw it turn around. So now I turn around. Now let me address this before I even analyze this one for you, right? Because we're still waiting on that confluence anyway. So let me address this while let's address this, because GBP is my base currency. This one is calling for a sell. GBP is my base currency, and this one is still triggering for a buy, right? You need to know where you are in the market. All right, let's be clear. So it's not a blunt statement, right? Because most people, you'll take something and you're very literal with it. Okay, and I want you to make sure. And I guess I'm thinking about this because my daughter was they're literally, their I read it was on literal and you know, like when you take something literally. And so as I was looking at this, it just made me think about this. So where are we at? So right now, this has no direction, right? Even though this is GBP, it's a lot. It's a lot of pips. Now understand, this is only 100, but GBP, NZD, and AUD, you'll grab more pips with those, okay? That's why this is like 300, okay? So GBP, the USD is probably one of those. Like Euro USD is probably one of the lowest paying ones, you know, but GBP USD is like right in front of that. Right. So I know a lot of you all love GBP USD, but I want you to look at the pip count. It's the lower ones that are GBPs, right? Like, except I forget CHF even exists. So you guys know when I make a comment like that, I'm not considering or even taking into account CHF. That would be the lowest. All right. So now when you look at this, right, and you see it, now there's money to be made in there because it's all going to be dependent on your lot size. I just want you to understand pips. So as I'm looking at this, this is in a range, right? It's in a range. So this is not like GBP is buying, right? It's not like it's in an uptrend. It's not even in a trend right now. It's in a range. And so when I come over here to my GBP NZD, what is this in? It's kind of in a range too. So when we talk about, don't just take it blunt, like, oh, GBP is my base currency. GBP is this. When you understand the market and what it's doing, then you can analyze each individual currency pair based on each individual currency pair. This one still has opportunity and room to move up. This one, on the other hand, has reached the top of the range and now it's on the way back down. Now, if we were in a trending market where GBPs were buying or GBPs were selling, then I'd be like, okay, what you're doing is counter trend trading. But right now it's rangy. And if it's rangy, right? If it's ranging, then you have to actually look at the currency and understand. So could I have taken this for a buy and this one coming up for a sell? Absolutely. But you still, now, if you don't understand what the market's doing, then trust me, don't do either, you know, pick one. Just pick one. And don't kind of, you know, don't until you understand it and your skill set develops, just pick one, just pick one, just pick one. All right, so let's readjust these lines, right? Let's readjust these lines to what they've called for now. Questions, comments, testimonies. Questions, comments, testimonies. I saw too much money being made today for you all not to be operating in testimonies. Y'all just got so comfortable with making money. We are wealthy. We are educated BYOB master traders is what we are. Right? Yes, it was a very profitable day. There we go. All right. Let me move this out of the way. How about I just delete that one? Let's do that. All right, so you know me, we're gonna move and make that adjustment, right? We're gonna move and make that adjustment. So now here's my hour. Blue line cross over the red and a downward momentum around the 80. You see it, we're around the 80 on the hour. Come to my 4 hour. We have not, look at my stochastic starting to curve. We have not, what we just got an hour candle. I mean, a 4 hour candle, we have 3 hours to go. So this probably 1 o'clock is my next 4 hour candle. So are the lines you are drawing now the take profits? Yes, but then I adjust them. Absolutely, but then I adjust them. So now when we come here, what you're seeing is you can see it got rejected, right? Rejected. So now you come here, but yeah, you can see that's a reversal pattern. I don't have confluence yet. You do see where it's attempted to move down and I don't have confluence yet. I dropped down to my 15. So, we had a good, look at there, a good trading day. Oh yeah, that patience will do you now. That patience. So that patience. Staying plugged in is getting my goal of consistency. There we go, there we go, there we go. So plugging in is key. A lamp doesn't work if it's not plugged in. So now you can see that had we been over there and identified this, right? You know, around that 80, blue line cross over the red in a downward momentum. All right, we see we have that red candle. Where's my flat top? We got to zone in. Now this, I don't like that little weak candle, but that's a candle, right? And so I probably would have waited till we got somewhere over here because I just don't like that little candle. So red candle with a flat top, piece R flip to the top. Now, we already know we have some confluence right up in here. We already know we do. And then of course, if I drop down to my 5 minute, it needed to still be selling. And so ultimately you do your 10 pips and cash out, or you trade to your first support or resistance. You're literally right there. So based on your pip reaction time, let me help you understand what pip reaction time is. How long does it take you to push the button? All right, don't Google it, I made it up. By now y'all might be able to Google it, but that's what pip reaction time is. Pip reaction time is literally, how long does it take you to push the button? How long does it take you to push the button to get into the trade? So it's like your reaction time, like it's like your draw. Like how long is how quick is your draw? How quick is it? So this is literally, right, you know, but this is why that support and resistance is important. But had you taken it off the itty bitty trade, off the itty bitty candle, the itty bitty candle, look, so you have another 2 pips, right? So patience, profit. So now you're just waiting because this isn't a buy. Did GBP trigger at all? If it did, that would be perfect for the night's training. GBP USD, no. AUD trigger for a sell. No. Hey, actually, hey, there we go. Perfect for the night. Let me pause this. Let me get excited for a moment. All right, so let me change this color so you can see how they work together. So let's see here. Where did it go? Because I paused it and I moved it up there. 14896. Now you see how you getting a trade set up. Look right here on that line. How in the world do you get a trade set up on a training call? Look out here, look out here. So now, here we go. We have our 5 minute is where it triggered, right? So it triggered on this line right here. It triggered about an hour ago. It's always called in the correction. So you notice that this had been moving up. I checked my 30 for the confluence. My 30 is in that sale. My higher time frame, we know we even have a piece R flip on that hour. We know the 4 hours just not quite there yet. Now, guys, let me show you. They have other candles in here. Look, right? GBP, I could drop down, right? Do you know that they have 2 and 3 hours? Now, I never really use these, but if you're looking for really to get into that trade, right? Because it takes 4 hours to make this candle. You see how this stochastic is curving down a little bit right here. So if you're a 111, don't go pull that 2 or 3 hour. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. This is for my individuals that are understanding more clarity. And you can see that stochastic starting to move. Look at this candle. It's getting rejected. It's shorter than the 2 in front of it. We have heavy rejection. That's what we look for. And that's what happens on my 4 hour, on my higher time frames. See, these are rejection. It's getting rejected. It's getting pushed back. So now we go down to the 3. Right? You see where it's starting to curve, right? The same way I could drop down on other time frames, I could drop down there as well. So you can see that once this, now I go down to my lower time frames because what I'm looking for is that entry. You notice how this began to pull down, right? As soon as we look at that red candle, as soon as we get that flat top, bam, we have a trade. Now, I know my HFX traders, this would have been your trade. When this pulled back, tapped off of, you see how this pulled back, tapped off of here, and it began to pull down. Same thing with my indice traders, right? Because you guys live down here. But I just wanted to highlight it because this is kind of where it pulls all together. So we're about to close this call. Hopefully you all have a little clarity. You know how to enter the trade. We took it from the top down approach and brought it all the way down to the bottom. So you know how to enter that trade on that 5 minute, that 15 minute. We are not done. We will continue to do this, right? We will continue to do this. Now, Before we transition, wait, one question. Sometimes I notice that I hear the trigger, but by the time I get to the pair, it's in the opposite direction. That means that I want you to go back and watch the training, because every time we explain it and we pull those triggers, it's called in the correction. There is training available to you that talks about BYOB cash out and the harmonics on our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube and search Be Your Own Bank Movement, or let me drop this in, I will drop it in the chat for you in just a moment, the direct link. But go to YouTube and search BYOB Cash Out Movement, and there is a playlist called Be Your Own Bank and the Harmonics, and you want to go watch that, and that'll help you. Oh no, the vibrato. I'm sorry, the vibrato, not the harmonics, the vibrato. So a train to BYOB Cash Out on the vibrato, and that will help you understand, because it's always going to be in an opposite direction. It is never going to, it's not a signal, it's an alert. So it's giving you an opportunity to set up. So you guys can see how now we have that flat top. I know it's time to transition, but you can see how this is moving. Yes, I know we're at the 20. I know that, right? We didn't even put pivots on here yet, but you know what? It's okay, because we will add them later. Now, as we get ready to close out, guys, just want to remind you before we transition that there is no call on Monday. There is no call on Monday. Monday is Memorial Day. Please, 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 right? Please, 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 please